We are back with the 5th episode of On That Note. My guest today is Kal Benion from The Color 8. I gave him an introduction when he was here in studio. However, when I went back and watched the introduction as I was editing, it just was not up to par. He is an amazing guitar player and an even more incredible human being. He and his band, The Color 8, just got back from tour with Futuristic. They're doing a lot of big things here around Phoenix. They are definitely at a stage where they could be acting too cool for everybody here in the local scene, and yet they are becoming even more inclusive, and they are meeting new musicians and jamming with new musicians, and the things they talk about bringing people in and including people and using music as a tool to bring people together sounds a little bit cheesy, and it's kind of what everybody says, but they really do it, and they do it better than almost anybody I've ever seen. And so as cheesy as it might sound to hear, it's very sincere and very special, and I'm very grateful to have been a part of all of the stuff that they're doing, and I'm very grateful to have gotten to pick his brain today. So without further ado, we will get into the interview, but I just wanted to make a good introduction. So where I want to start is with the Color 8 song Galaxy, which is an instrumental. It's like 6 minutes long. It's really got a lot of weird stuff going on. So it starts off with, I think I had this chord. How are you playing that?
Okay. Yeah, pretty much.
But down there?
Yeah, it's actually a drop tuning.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Drop D?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll use that second to play the whole thing and make it real. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you got those notes.
And so and then it goes to something, what I was hearing was kind of like that. What are you playing there?
Pretty much, it's the same shape as this, I just move it up. So yeah, you pretty much had it.
Okay. So my ear is hearing that as like an E minor 9 to kind of like an A minor 9.
Yep.
Okay. So now those are super dense shapes. Like that's just like so many notes. So when you like were sitting down, did you come up with the guitar part first in this song? Was it like kind of a jam thing? How did that come about?
This one kind of came up like I had the idea because I was listening to this instrumental band called Pellini, and he has like some songs where he does a lot of like changes, and I was listening to that. And I was going through my chords. I was like, I want to make a song that's kind of like jumping around. And he always does a lot of songs that the key signature is always kind of different. So I was like, I want to make a song like that. So I was trying to think of. He put so many chords in like a bar. So I was like trying to think of chords that would go. So just kind of fiddling around. And then all that minor chord. And I came up with the rhythm like just a straight like. And I was like, I like that. And I was like, let me show the band. So I just came up with that little progression. And I showed them that. And they added to it. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And we're like, we should make the second part like different though. So I was like, okay. And my drummer Emmett came up with the idea like, play the other one like a little more delayed. So I was like, okay. So I was like, okay. And I was like, from there, we just came up with the progression, and Ashton, our saxophone player, just started playing over it, and then from there, yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, because those shapes are so dense, and the song starts off like really mellow with just the 2 chords, right? And then you do those hits, and you do that kind of twice, that pattern. Now, I mean, Emmett, you said the drummer was like, just delay it a little bit. Did you guys ever sort of count that part out at all, or is that all just feel?
No, yeah, we actually did have to count that out. Like, I remember when we first, I found an old recording of it, and like, we were playing it super slow. We were like, so yeah, we did start off like 1, 2. Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm counting like the verse part is happening pretty clearly in 3. Right? Where you're just kind of vamping between these 2 chords. And then Emmett's drum part is insane on that thing. Yeah, that part's...
Ghost tapping that.
Yeah, really mathy. That is what that sounded like to me. Like I was like, oh man, I I mean, I don't have the kick speed to figure that out, but I really want to try and figure that out at some point in my life. And then you go into the first set of hits. I was playing like, but if you're doing is all that shape?
It's all that minor shape.
Okay, got it. So because I'm counting it still 2 bars of 3 under those hits.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you're counting it?
Yeah, pretty much. I was
Okay. Just syncopated weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
I counted in 3s. And then the last one is like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. So I think there's a part of like one, like a 2-bar thing in there.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-bar and then a 4-bar.
Then you go into that. That's cool that's how you're thinking of it. And so yeah, just moving that shape around parallel kind of wise. What's the conversation of? So you guys have kind of the foundation, the rhythm. When Ashton's coming up with that saxophone line, is he just flowing over the top of it, or are there conversations of I want it to feel like this, or what do you guys?
So when we started it, we were like, can we put singing to this? And I think like at that time, like our vocalists weren't like, it was hard for us to all meet up.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of times it would just be the instruments meeting up, and we were like, let's just make this an instrumental. And as soon as Ashton heard it, a saxophone player, he's like, I want to add like a crazy hook on it. And we're like, let's just make the saxophone be like if that was the singer.
Okay.
So that's why like he on all the like the verse type parts, the verses, he's like trying to make it sound like a singer. Mm-hmm. And when he gets to the hook, that main chorus part, he's trying to make that seem like the catchy part, because the hook's always the catchy part in the song. So like he was trying to, I think, almost do it. To me, when I heard him do it, I thought he was trying to make it kind of sound similar to like scatting or something like that.
Okay.
The vocalist scatting. So that was the whole main setup for that. It was like supposed to be kind of like saxophone driven.
When you guys are switching from that kind of more like Polini kind of mathy sound into like a more R&B sound, why did you guys decide to do that? Well, let's start there. Why did you guys decide to do that?
To kind of mix up that kind of R&B and that kind of progressive. I think it just happens because like we're all from weird backgrounds. So like when I'm playing it, I'm thinking of like a Polini feel,
mm-hmm.
but they've never really heard math rock before because
mm-hmm.
like my drummer's from like a church background.
Yeah.
So when he plays over it, he's thinking of more like R&B. So he could. It's kind of interesting because like I'll play something more metal or math rock, and then he'll put what he thinks he should be over it, which would be more like a more R&B or more gospel chop over it, and then it kind of gives it this weird feel. So it just kind of happened because, Jeremy's really into like Motown and stuff like that, and then Emmett's in like gospel and hip hop. So like it just happened because like I had my perspective on it and they had their perspective on it. It just kind of happened. Like my intention wasn't to be like, let's turn it into like a R&B feel. It just kind of happened because like everybody's different mindsets, which is cool because like I feel like a lot of bands, like everybody, like if you look at a band, like everybody will look the same. Like everyone will have all black on and like the same shirt on. Everybody looks like they agree with each other, right? And they don't really what do you call it? Like they don't have to challenge each other because they all think the same thing, So with us, we all don't think the same thing. So I think it's really cool how
it is. It winds up in some really, really interesting music. So then moving on, you mentioned your metal stuff. I did want to look at that song Titan. Oh, I'm already in drop T.
Yeah, that was drop T. Yeah.
He's about to go drop something else. So it kind of starts off with that like. What is that riff exactly?
Yeah, that was pretty close. That's the main.
And that pause that you guys have there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really cool riff. I know you played in metal bands, right?
Yeah, in high school.
Yeah. Okay. And then when you're taking something like that and you're doing some sort of, there's rapping over that song for sure. What are some of the challenges you guys encounter, and how do you like overcome them, or how do you deal with those?
So when we first started doing this, I was like, because I realized like I always used to talk to people and they're like, oh, and I'd ask them about genres, like, oh, I don't like metal. I'm like, why don't you like metal? And they're like, I don't like the screaming. So I'm like, oh, but the instruments are cool. Like, yeah, I like the instrumentals, but the screaming I don't like. So I'm like, okay, So if I just take out the screaming and replace it with hip hop, which most people enjoy, then everybody should like it. So I brought the idea to my band. I was like, yo, I have this cool riff. It was like, that was one of the, Titan was like one of the first metal songs we wrote.
Okay.
And I showed him the riff, and Emmett started drumming to it, which is cool because like Emmett never really played metal before, so he just played it off of interpretations of what he's heard from, you know, encountering metal.
Yes.
So he had a real cool twist to it, and we told our rapper like, yo, like, can you rap on this? And it was very hard at first. It was weird because they're like, they didn't know when to come in. They were trying to wait for it to come into like a chill part or something, because they're like, and we're like, no, I want you to rap on the loud part, like, rap on that part. So he came up with that cadence, because we were like, we want it to be like at you and loud. So he came up with the cadence. What is he saying? He's like, this is the music that keeps us in light, bruh. Others look at us like ignorant people. Positive messages that sting like a hornet. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So he ended up coming up with that rhythm, and then it just started working out. So from that song, we kind of just based all our other songs off of that type of feel.
Yeah, and it's really cool. And so I was trying to hear the lyric. The light bruh part was like, I was like, I think he's saying it keeps us in light. So I mean, again, and not necessarily the lyrics you wrote, so you might not be able to speak on them super clearly, but like the idea of, I mean, positive messages, things like a hornet, other people that look at us like, or people that look at us like ignorant people. I mean, it's an interesting genre to choose to say that message, because I think so many people would hear it and instantly just be like, no, like that is, you know, no, or whatever. You know how people think about metal.
Yeah.
So was there a conversation of like, I want it to be this kind of message that's not normally in metal music, or like that is not as overt in metal music? Was there a conversation about that?
Kinda. Our rapper, Clef Pro, he came like before he joined us, he had his own solo music and stuff, and a lot of his music was very like conscious rapping, like talking about specific subjects. And I told him like everyone knew when we started, like, we wanted this band to be about something different and being different. And a lot of people in the bat were telling us like, you know, it's gonna be, you know, that's dumb. Like, you guys can't make a band playing a bunch of genres, because a label won't pick you because they can't categorize you in a specific, you know, the top 100s chart. They can't put you in a specific genre. Usually record labels are like usually stuck to like a type of genre usually, and people were just telling us like it wouldn't be a good idea. So I think when he was writing, he took all that into mind, and he came up with that. We're like, because I was like, I wanted to be about you know, some type of subject about us being different. And that's what he came back the next practice, and that's when he came up with. I was like, I like that. That's smart. You know, we have a positive message about, you know, you don't have to do what's traditional. Like, traditionally, you start a band and you do one genre and you do this and do that, but we're like trying to do different. So he worded it really good and made it nice and catchy at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And then it drops out, gets kind of quiet, and then there's that bass line, which is just kind of a repetition of the guitar riff. But then you come in with that part on the first verse, the like,
yeah,
right? Where did that come from? Because that's a really out there melody.
I kind of got it just from like metal, like the nasty like beef metal, deathcore, like who did I get that? I probably got inspired from like what are they called? Suicide Silence, like they would do that, or this band called Traders. They do that a lot. They do this a lot, like that. And like, I like that nasty tone. So like, I noticed in hip hop too. If you listen to like there's that song by Biggie where he's talking about he wants to kill himself. I forget what that dang song is. But in that song, like, it has like really nasty piano in the background doing the same type of nasty chords that don't go together, like ding 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 ding. So like, I wanted to kind of bring that in there and make it kind of hip hop, but it's like metal too. So I always realized that like in music, there's like, there's hip hop. You know, everyone likes, you know, hip hop, and it's on the radio and stuff. And then there's rock music, like AC/DC. Everyone likes rock music. But then there's rap. People don't like it. It's ignorant. It makes people mad. And then there's metal. It's the same thing. People don't like it. It makes people mad. So I thought like, yo, rap and metal, they're the same thing. They're like the dislike genre in the main genre categories, you know. So I wanted to just like show the similarities of those two things. Put them together, so I put those nasty things.
Nice. Have you seen that meme where it's like a black hand and a white hand clasping, and it's like punk rap, and it's like not calling the cops?
Yeah.
I thought that one was really funny. Okay, and then the second verse, you come in, you change that line to like, right? So why did you feel the need to do something different then? And then why that?
It was kind of the way he came in, because like I think he comes in like it's like a pause and everybody's kind of chill, and then when he comes in, I just wanted it to feel different. Like it still like has a familiar vibe. Okay, those are the same notes, but in a little different cadence.
Okay.
And I kind of didn't. That was like one of our first songs, so like it's very repetitious. Repetitive. There you go. That's the word. And so I was like, I wanted to add a little. I just wanted to make it a little different. I don't want my verses to be the same. And again, I was from that. I think I was listening to like that melody came from like I think Dr. Dre. He has like a song that's kind of like that same thing. No, it's called Undercover or Deep Cover 187 or something like that, and it has that same type of melody. And I was like I like that. So I was like, or it's like, all right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to change it up.
At the very end of that song, you go into that feel change. Still the same kind of riff, but like much more of like a driving like. Yeah. Right. I mean, where did that kind of idea of just like same riff but like very different vibe come from? Where was that at? And then that's when you're doing the like. Are you rapping too on that a little bit? Are you doing the double on that?
No, I'm actually not. It's actually our saxophone player.
Oh, it's actually? Okay. Yeah. It kind of sounded like you, especially the like, yeah! Like, it sounded kind of like Kal.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to yell on it. I did it. But so it was just all like, we're always like showing each other new things. Like, Emmett will show me like an R&B group I've never heard before or something like that. Or Jeremy will show me something. And I like to show them metal because everybody has a lot in common, but like metal is the least thing they're actually familiar with, and I'm the most familiar with metal. So like I'm always trying to show them stuff to give them ideas and show them yo, metal music, they do stuff like this, they do like this, and I wanted them to see what that felt like to play something like slow. Like have you guys ever took something and just slowed it down? Like it's very impactful. So I was like, let's just take the same, and it was hard to explain it at first. I remember the first time we played that first Friday. I was trying to tell Emmett, I was like, drop out, because a lot of things, because Emmett, he's in church. When you're a church drummer, you don't really drop out. You're always keeping the rhythm going. You're keeping the rhythm going. So like he wasn't used to stop playing, and I was always trying to tell him like, just drop out, like drop out, and just it's so impactful to have a dropout, and like he would never understand it. He would just keep playing, and eventually one day he got it. I have the video on my old computer. One day he was just like so frustrated at me because I was talking to him on stage and telling him not to do it, and he stopped and he heard me. I was like, and then like I don't know what happened. We didn't talk, but he instantly got the new rhythm. He's like, oh, and like it was just like everybody was like, I looked at everybody and they're like, never felt this before, and like that's what I like about metal. Like it gives you this feeling in your stomach, and it's like a new feeling. It makes you want to like fight and stuff, and it's dope. So like, it was really cool to share that feeling of metal with them. And then eventually we ended up doing a show at 51 West, and it was an all metal lineup, and they'd never been like to a metal show, so that was even fun to play at a metal show and for them to see what other what metal bands look like, how they play, how they move, and riffs they come up with. So like, we're just inspiring each other and just trying new stuff. So.
Yeah, because that riff is super cool, and it's cool to hear those gospel fills in that song because there's just so many notes, and it's you can tell it's a gospel drummer. But it fits and it works really, really well. And then so one last kind of question. Two last questions. One being, I know you don't think of yourself as someone who knows a lot of theory and thinks in that traditional way, but obviously the music you play is very complex. So how do you kind of categorize sounds, and like, when you hear something like this, going back to Galaxy, are you thinking, E minor 9 to A minor 9, or are you thinking like, how do you kind of organize those sounds in your head?
So since I'm not really super profound in music theory, the way I get better is I'll just learn a song that's a little more complicated. Not too complicated where it's like, wow, I don't know anything they're doing in there by listening to it. I'll listen to something that's like, okay, I know what kind of techniques he's using. And I'll learn that song and, you know, and hopefully, you know, I'll learn that song and then through learning that song, I learn a new technique and I get better. So like I'll learn an instrumental and then I'll pick up chords from it. So this shape I got from like a song, I think like a Polyphia song.
Okay.
And they played it in a different spot. I'm like, well, this is my chord now, and I'm gonna use it. So I got it from a Polyphia song and changed it in melody. And I was like, all right, where do I want to go from there? And usually I'll just hear it in my head. So I'm like, no. And I just kind of use my ear to find the chords that go. And I'll do that. I'll do that with a lot of our songs. Just try to what sounds good. And same thing with that melody that I was just fiddling around to find which chords would go. So I was just thinking, okay, down, up, down, up, down. That was what I was thinking when I wrote that part. And then I was like, so I was just like, I want the second part to be different. So I just found the octave. I think that's the octave. Yeah, it's the octave of that E. And I just be going off the feels, and that's the cool thing about our band. Like, we're not super like, okay, I got this. This is the thing, and then we don't really do a piece with a piece. Like, okay, here's my riff. All right, match that exactly. You know, like everyone play the same thing. It's just kind of like I'll play it, and then we'll just kind of fill it in. So like, everything's very felt, and I feel like we get our stuff done a lot quicker. Like we're in the studio right now recording another album, and we're just kind of, we live record, which is so much better than like, cause like when I used to play in a metal band, like it was, you know, one at a time, you know, like, okay, do the guitar part, and you play it by yourself with a click track, and everybody goes and does their part, and it's not as felt, cause it's very structured, you gotta play exactly what is there, but then when we were doing the album, just like First Friday, we just recorded no metronome, just looking at each other, and it feels, you play it different, you know.
And then the other question I have is, the Color 8 has like a ton of people in it. Do you guys have like an official member count officially? Because I know there's always people coming in and doing new stuff. Do you guys have like a number?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, me on the guitar, Emmett on drums, Ashton on the saxophone and vocals, Jeremy on the bass. That's for sure the solid four.
Solid, okay.
Yeah, and then our singer, Lee Waters, like the dreads, he's our official guy. And then Clef Pro, the guy that's rapping, he's our official guy, but like he's pretty much, he's been going through a lot of stuff lately, and he's pretty much moving to California, so we're losing him. So it's just, it's that main five right now.
Okay.
So that's fine. The instruments and Lee Water, our singer.
Nice. So and then you guys have a lot of people that you're always, you know, collabing with and jamming with. So I'm curious, like, how do you manage to make, because like from a personality perspective, like it's something that a lot of people feel a part of, as well as, you know, how. So the question kind of is, how do you include so many people while making everybody feel like they, you know, are a part of it? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we invite people to come play, like it's very liberating, because I remember like when we let Jeremy come and play with us when we for the first time, we were just like, let's just jam, and he's like, okay, and we jammed out, and we're like, do a solo, take a solo.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't get that. Like, they're not just like, take a solo. Especially for like certain instruments, like bass and stuff. They just want you to just do the root note or follow whatever the guitar is doing. And we're just like, play whatever. So like, when we have people come jam with us, we really let them play what they want and show us any things they have, because it helps, you know, them. Sometimes some people that jam with us have never played with people before. They just played just by themselves. So like, they get a whole new feel what it's like to play with people and listen to each other and look at each other, and we get new ideas from just playing with somebody. Like when we were playing with you, like you were playing some riffs, and I was like, okay, that's cool, and like it gave me new ideas, and it gives everyone, it lets us not get too like in a rut where we're just listening to each other play the same things we play. We bring other people there. They play new things, they freshen up our minds, and then we freshen up their minds, and then they have fun, and we let them play whatever. We don't tell them like, hey, just play this, just play this chord, you know. We're just like, solo, do whatever you want, and that's how we kind of let people feel a part of it. Because I feel like I've been to a lot of shows where like I'm watching a band and it's like they're just kind of like up there like look at me like look, hey, we're a band, come on, look at us, like, and we don't want it to be like that. We want it to be like, hey, come play with us, like be part of the thing. And that's what we do at First Friday. We'll let a bunch of people come up and freestyle and just feel like a part of it, because we want everybody to feel like they're part of the Color 8, because the Color 8 isn't just a band. The Color 8 is just like a movement, a meaning of doing new stuff. So like we want everybody to feel a part of doing new stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how we try to make people feel involved at shows and at our practices. We try to jam with them at practices, come to our shows, jam with us, and it's more than a show. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds cheesy, but I've seen it in person, so I know that is how it works. Awesome. And then what do you guys got coming up? I know you just mentioned you're in the studio. Any big show? I mean, you'll be at First Fridays because you're always at First Fridays, but any big shows coming up? I know you mentioned a tour maybe potentially that you guys might be working on. Yeah,
we want to try to book our own tour. That's what we're trying to do, because last time we went on tour at Futuristic, which was super dope, and that showed us like, yo, we could do this. So like we're like trying to book our own little tour right now. So maybe we might have one later this year, but it's nothing set in stone yet. Okay. But we're working on an album right now. We're not sure. We don't have a name or anything for it yet, but it's going to be like 12 tracks. Okay. We'll give you a rough idea of it. It's going to be like 6 like just metal beefy songs, and there's going to be 6 like chill R&B songs. So we know there's a lot of people are doing like dual albums, so we kind of want this to be kind of like a cool dual album. Like it'll still have other elements like reggae and jazz, but like it's going to be like the two opposite sides of the spectrums, you know. So the album's gonna be kind of based off of that.
Awesome, nice. All right, well, thank you very much, Kal.
Yeah, thank you for having me.